Well, hello there. My name is Craig Hain, and I am the president of Triad Math Inc., and we have developed a fantastic new product we call the Supercomputer. And in this video, I want to tell you something about it that I think you'll find very surprising and very special. Now, you've come to the website supercomputer.org/pb, which stands for Phil Bryant, and this is a video that I'm actually creating that's going to be on this website when you see it. That's not on there yet, but I'm putting it onto this website, and I think you're going to find it very interesting. Well, okay, what's going to be so interesting? Well, in this video, I want to talk to you about rugby, math, and ADHD. Now, ADHD is an acronym. It stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And Phil Bryant is the guy I mentioned earlier, whose website you've come to, and he is quite an expert on all three of these subjects, and particularly rugby and ADHD, and I, of course, am an expert on math. Now, Phil and I have known each other for many years, and I played rugby with Phil many, many years ago, and I want to tell you how rugby and math and ADHD all kind of match up, and why you might find them very, very interesting, especially if you have a student who you think might have some component of ADHD. Phil recently brought to my attention a very interesting book. The name of it is Movers, Dreamers, and Risk Takers, Unlocking the Power of ADHD by Kevin Roberts. Now, Kevin Roberts wrote this book. It's quite interesting. He himself has ADHD. And as a matter of fact, I think that I have ADHD to some extent. Phil believes he does. And Phil believes that a lot of rugby players do, and that it's very helpful to them. Now, this is a really great book, and I read it with a great interest in it. And when I read about it, I began to recognize in myself a great deal of the components of ADHD. Now, ADHD, as Kevin Roberts explains, is a wide spectrum of disorders. And it's caused by many, many things. And this is a very well-documented book. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you get this book if you have a child that you think may be afflicted with some version of ADHD, and a lot of kids are these days, and go straight to the appendix if you want to. And he talks about the science behind it, the mystery of it. And he admits now there's a lot of things that we still do not know about it, but there's a lot of things we do know about it. And it's a very well written appendix, and it's very well documented. In fact, the footnotes are extensive. He has, I believe, 69 footnotes where he quotes all these things. And you're going to learn a lot about it. And if you have an ADHD child, then this is a book that you'll definitely want to read. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about rugby and math and how they might just help you solve some problems you might have if you have an ADHD student. Okay, now I'm going to tell you I am not a very good athlete, and I participated in some sports just because I enjoyed it. I ran cross country for one season, I wrestled for one season, I did some weightlifting, and quite frankly, I didn't find any of those very fulfilling. I really found baseball and softball extremely boring. I was not talented enough to play basketball. I thought football was way too rough. I was not about to play football. But I did play rugby for one season with Phil Bryant, and I was introduced to it actually by a fellow mathematician who was a very good rugby player. And rugby is a team sport, and it's a sport that you don't have to be a great athlete to play because it's almost like organized chaos, and so you don't get bored by it at all. There's many, many positive aspects to rugby. Now, it is a contact sport, but you don't wear any equipment, so you don't tend to get hurt in rugby. I never got hurt playing in rugby. Because you don't wear equipment, you don't do stupid things like you do in football. There's no concussions and things like that, generally speaking. And so I found rugby to be very fulfilling and very enjoyable. Now, mathematics is something that I also struggle with in school. A lot of ADHD students have a lot of trouble with any kind of a conventional class in any subject. They get bored quickly, and I was like that. And then I was lucky. I found some math teachers that were able to teach me math in a way that I could really enjoy it, and self-paced with interactivity and so on, and I became very good at it. I have a PhD in math, as you probably know, and so forth and so on. I found rugby and math to be very, very similar in the way they are. An attention deficit person really means that they don't like to pay attention to things that bore them. They're always looking for something that's exciting, something new, something that's challenging, something they can really get off on. That is why he talks about in his book, Risk Takers. And in fact, he talks in this book about how a lot of very successful business people and people in life have ADHD, but they've channeled it in a positive direction. The problem with ADHD for many students is that they don't do well in school because they don't do well with authority. They don't do well with things that they find boring. And so they become labeled as failures, and they have a lot of trouble at home even a lot of times if you don't know how to raise them and manage them. And so that's one reason you really need to read this book. If you've got a problem child you're having trouble with, read this book. It may be an ADHD thing. It's a wide spectrum of things it can be. In any event, Phil and I have talked about this extensively, and we both have come to believe that both rugby and mathematics are a tremendous way to help an ADHD kid. Now, math has to be taught properly. And as you probably know, or if you're on this website, you're going to find out, there's many things involved in math that you need to understand. And one of them, of course, is the supercomputer. Now, this supercomputer is a fantastic new tool that allows a student to do math in ways that are just very exciting, not boring at all, and it's completely different than the way it's normally taught. And so if your student's taking a math course of any kind, then he's going to find the supercomputer, and you'll watch other videos on it to see why that is, that really, really are just make mathematics so much fun. It makes it I won't say it makes it easy, but in a sense it does, because it solves problems for you automatically, but it also teaches you step by step, but it's self-paced. And then if this isn't enough for you, I actually have a math program that you can take and that you can buy, and that will teach math in the way it ought to be taught. Now, you can go to the Supercomputer website, and you'll see it's an expert mathematician, an expert math tutor, and it has lots and lots of other things, even for young children. You'll learn all about it if you come to the website and study that. But and the Supercomputer will help your student even if they're taking math in a regular school. It's going to help them. Now, it may not be enough because it depends on how bad the math is in the regular school, but it certainly will help them. But if that's not good enough, then what you might want to do is go to one of our websites, TriadMath's website called homeschoolmathcrusade.com, and there you're going to find out that we have a program to teach math in a completely different way than it's taught in most schools. It's a fabulous way to do it, and we've just had tremendous success with students that are failing in the regular program, and there's all sorts of information on this website to explain it to you. And then if you want to enroll your student in it and try it, you can have a family plan. It's $25 a month for a student, and you can try it for a month for free if you don't like it. In fact, we never know. You ask me, well, will your math program really help my student, ADHD or autistic or whatever they might be, or just a regular student? And the answer is, I don't know, probably, but who can be sure? Try it and see. Join the family plan, try it for 30 days. If it doesn't work, drop it. You get your money back. Didn't cost you anything. Now, you may have a student that just wants to go into the workforce, maybe an older student. You might want to go to our website, workforcemath.com. This is very similar. A lot of the material that we teach in our regular program is taught here, and it really gets people ready for the military or for a regular non-professional job. But quite frankly, I think the place you should go is the Homeschool Math Crusade, and just try it out. Math needs to be taught. Triad Math, which is our parent company, stands for Psychology, Pedagogy, and Content. And the psychology of your student is critical, and that's extremely important for anybody that is ADHD or whatever. And so I highly recommend that you try that. Now, there's lots of other videos on this website, on this web page you've come to, Phil Bryant's web page. And so if you really want to know more about the supercomputer, by all means, watch all the other videos, read everything, read Phil's material on it. Then if you want to go beyond what you're getting in school, go to Homeschool Math Crusade. By the way, this is completely independent of the supercomputer, Homeschool Math Crusade. You can do this without a supercomputer. You can do this with just any kind of a regular computer if you want to. But it works really great with a supercomputer. Anyway, this is Craig Hain. I wanted to just tell you about this to get you started down the right path. Read the book that I told you about. study our website. And if you want to learn about me and know who I am and talking to, go to craighane.com. This is my personal website, and it tells you kind of all about me, and there's a lot of links on here to take you to all sorts of different places to go, and so forth and so on, and you can learn all about it. Here's a syllabi of our total math program. By the way, we have a math program that gets students ready for MIT. This goes all the way through calculus and differential equations. If you want to go that far, we start out with basic things. How to use a calculator, basic geometry, basic trigonometry, and so on. And then we just keep on going. And there's 6 tiers to this, actually. And you can download the syllabi and see exactly what we teach students and why we do it. And this, of course, is our what we call the homeschool math program, but it could be for any math student that wants to learn math. Anybody can learn at home. I mean, let's face it. If you're not doing well in school, then you might want to try this. Absolutely try it and see how it works for you. There's lots of there's a lot of free stuff on here too. You can go and learn all about all sorts of things. But what I really think you should do is really, before you do any of that, is really study the supercomputer on Phil's page here and watch the other videos that are on this page. Learn about the supercomputer, and quite frankly, that's probably the first thing you ought to do. Buy your student, your child, a supercomputer and let them start playing with it. There's a lot of games on it. Kids love, ADHD kids, and a lot of kids love games on it. There's Minecraft. There's all games for young children on it. You can start, even if you have a young child that you think is ADHD, you can get them started on this. There's all sorts of things on this for kids of all ages, as well as people that are going to go to schools like MIT and study advanced math. So this is Craig Hane encouraging you to watch all the videos and study this and get involved with us, and the best of wishes to you as you raise your child, and I'm sure your child has a good chance of being successful. So it's Craig Hane wishing you the best.